In this video, I'm going to share with you the best sports card to buy, and be prepared and take some notes because this video is very tactical. There's going to be no fluff. It's going to get straight to the point. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is kind of piggybacking off of one of my previous videos, the worst sports card to buy. You can watch that one after this if you want, but this one is the best sports card to buy. So there's going to be two aspects to this video. So number one is, let's understand how sports cards works for a second. So what happens is these new products come out. Like, for example, right now while I'm talking, it's May of 2023. You'll probably be watching this video in June of 2023. And all these new products came out in March and April. These guys like Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder. And what happens is when these cards come out, let's take Prism, for example. When these cards come out, they're very inflated. These cards are selling for crazy amounts of money because people are excited. Excitement creates demand, and demand makes these prices go up. So a lot of the time, if you go back to that video I just talked about, you'll see these cards right out of the gate, like a Kenny Pickett something, sell for like $800, and then 3 weeks later, it's like $500. So that is what you want to do. You want to wait about a month till after these new products come out to start buying. Once you see them dip about in half, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less, you could go in and start buying, okay? Good example, I showed from the last video, the worst sports card to buy, Kenny Pickett Red Wave Prism Auto. When the product first came out, I believe it was late March, it was selling for about $700. And a few weeks later, it dipped down to about $400. Once it dips down to $400, you could go in and buy, because let's say you buy that card for $700 and it doesn't grade a 10. It grades a 9, for example. It's going to sell for like $400. So you lost $300 minus fees and the grading fee. So you lost about half your money. But if you wait a month, right, you can buy the card for $400. And if the card doesn't grade out for you, that's okay. You'll about break even and move on. So that's number one. You want to be waiting about a month, okay, till these new products come out, and it's the best of both worlds. You don't have to buy into the hype. You're not going to be buying cards that are crazy inflated, and these cards are new. Newer cards, they're in better condition. The better condition, higher chance the card is going to grade a 10, right? Kind of common sense. So that's number one. And number two, so this is something people do not think about. So this is very tactical and in-depth, and this took me a long time to realize, to be perfectly honest with you. So very common question I get is, Eric, how much should I be spending on cards? Should I be buying cards that are $50, $500, $5,000? And I actually do have a very direct answer for you. So the answer is cards that are worth about $100. So anywhere between like 60, 70, all the way up to like 150, that is the sweet spot. Now, why? So let's think about sports cards, for example. So I'm talking about in terms of buying a card to get it graded and sell it, right? So you want to be maximizing the amount of money you make. Okay, so think about this for a second. Let's say you buy a $50 Kenny Pickett card and it grades a 10. Now it's going to be worth anywhere from like $150 to $200. And when you go and auction that card on eBay, guess what? There is going to be way more people bidding on that card because it's way more affordable. Okay, the average collector, the average Steeler fan can afford that $200 card. So what happens is it creates this bidding war. More people bidding, prices go up, okay? And you're going to make more of a profit margin. As opposed to, let's say, a $500 Kenny Pickett card that you got graded at 10. Well, guess what? This card's only going to sell for about maybe like $1,000 to $1,200 at a 10. As opposed to the Kenny Pickett card that's $50 that got graded at 10, it's probably going to sell for about $200. So the $50 card is about 4 times in value once it grades at 10, but the $500 card is only about 2 to 2.5 times in value. And the reason is because when you go and sell that Kenny Pickett card that's worth over $1,000 now, there's less demand because the average collector cannot afford to buy it. Okay, so when you go and auction it on eBay, for example, there's just going to be less people bidding. And also, the people are smarter, right? They're trying to get a deal once they're spending cards that are $1,000 plus. But cards that are like $200, $300 all day, you can make a lot of money. So basically, I guess you could say the premise of my argument and what I'm trying to say here is, if you have $1,000 to spend, I would much rather have 10 $100 cards than one $1,000 card. The reason being the profit margins are bigger. There's less risk, because if you buy a $1,000 card and it doesn't grade for you, you can easily lose a few $100, as opposed to a $100 card. If it doesn't grade, you'll lose like $10 maybe. So less risk, higher margins, right? That $1,000, those 10 cards that are $1,000 each, if they all graded a 10, for example, you would make out with about $3,500 to $4,000, as opposed to that one $1,000 card. You'll about 2 times your money, probably, if you're lucky. But of course, all 10 cards aren't going to grade a 10, but also you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So hopefully what I'm saying is making sense here, because I don't have any illustrations, but I want some illustrations. So let's go into my computer, and I want to show you exactly what I am actually talking about. So let's go inside. All right, what is Eric actually saying? So let's put this into use. So as we can see, the date when I'm speaking right now, it's May 30th, okay? And Prism Football came out on March 15th. I forget if that was the actual day, because this says estimated release, but it was around there. So now we're about 2 months in. The product has dropped, and we could go in and buy. So if we skip over to eBay here, look what this specific card was selling for when this product came out, right? So it came out March 15th, and look what it's selling for, right? About $100, 101, 91. Right, we get the gist. 150. I don't know if that sale's real. 125. So around $100, this card was selling for. Okay. Now we're in the off season. Kenny Pickett hasn't done anything great. He hasn't done anything bad. Right. Totally neutral. And if we go to page 1, so let's scroll over right here to page 1 today. Let's see what this card is selling for. You can see. Look, it dipped in about half. So you can see it's $45, $55, $65, $50. Right. You get the idea. Around $50. So this card is dipped about in half, and it's okay for us to buy. So this is the sweet spot, right? Like I just said, around $100, 70 to 150, but $50 works as well. There's big profit margins with this stuff. And if you go, let's say, buy this card for $55 and you go and get it graded, it's going to cost you about $19 to get this card graded. Guess what this card is worth as a 10? $260. So you spent $55 on the card plus $19 to get the card graded, and you like 4 times your money, right? That's really good. And the reason, once again, this card sold for such an absorbent amount of money is because the demand it has. The average person can afford this card, and these cards that are maybe should be $200 get driven up a little bit to $260, and there's bigger profit margins with these cards, and also there's more of them available. People don't want to get them graded, so they're just easier to make money on. Now, I'll have a different video that goes into like the centering, the corners, the edges, how to evaluate the condition. There's more that goes into grading, because don't just go out and randomly buy one of these cards, because I promise you it probably won't go well for you. And there's a specific, more of a timing aspect of things, but I'm just showing you like a general example. But let's go over to another example, right? Because I said buying cards at like $500, $1,000 to get graded, not as big of profit margins, okay? And check this out. So this is a bigger card of Kenny Pickett, and you can see what this card sells for, $625. And as a 10, you only double your money. Now this card doesn't count because this is his jersey number. So with that, I'll just run through it real quick. So what jersey number means is the serial number on this card is 8, and as you can see, Kenny Pickett's jersey number is 8, and since the serial number is 8, people like that, and it gets a big boost. So don't count this card. The sale doesn't count because that usually doesn't happen. But guess what? Like $625, and you only doubled your money, right? Your profit margins are double. But right, this $55 into $260. So would you rather, right? Would you rather spend $600 on one of these cards, or buy 12 of these cards for $50? Of course, you'd rather buy 12 of these cards for $50 because there's bigger profit margins, okay? And there's less risk. Like if this card grades a 9, you can see there's a 9 sale right here. You know, you'll lose the grading fee and you'll lose like $10 to $15. But this card is a 9. I mean, there's no sales, but it'll probably be like $500, $450. So you're gonna lose $100 plus. So that's the point I'm trying to make. These lower end cards have bigger profit margins. So hopefully that makes sense. Take some notes. This is good stuff. This took me a long time to learn. But let's head back to the camera. All right, so moral of the story. You don't have to swing for home runs. you can make a lot of money just hitting singles, right? And part of the reason I'm making this video is because a lot of the students I have, they get into our program and they just want to buy a $2,000 card and get it graded and resell it for $6,000. And it's possible, but it's so much easier. It's so much less frustrating. There's so much less anxiety doing it with the smaller cards and hitting those singles, okay? Trust me, take my word for it. When I first got into sports cards, I was hitting singles, just like I showed you. I decided to get greedy, started buying, bigger cards, and sure, some of them worked, but some of them didn't. And at the end of the day, the profit margins were not nearly as big as they are just hitting those singles, those $60, $70, $80 cards. So hopefully this stuff helped. What I'm showing you here, honestly, took me years to learn. It took me years of buying and selling sports cards every day to realize this stuff. And it's funny because now it seems so simple, like, duh, idiot, how didn't I know that 6 years ago? But I didn't. Took me a long time to learn. So hopefully this video inspired you guys just a little bit, gave you guys a little bit of value. If you like this video, I promise you'll definitely like the other one. It's called The Worst Sports Cards to Buy. They're kind of similar, but they're opposites. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, comment below. I try to respond as much as possible. Turn that bell notification on so you get notifications when we upload. Right now, it's every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.